yeah, so coming to talk about nurturing our well-being, I think the first thing I want to kind of mention is just read this popular verse in Scripture, Luke 2:52. I'm sure my friend would say, some of you know it by heart and by liver. And Jesus grew in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and man. He grew in wisdom, stature, favor with God and man. So it's just telling us that Jesus had a kind of holistic growth. He grew in his mind, he grew his physical body, he grew in his spiritual life, his walk with the Father, and also grew in his social and emotional life. His growth was holistic. I think every leader and every pastor needs to be mindful of this. There was many years in my life where I thought, if I and God are good, then it's okay. After all, God is happy with me, it's okay. And actually, it's true. If you and God are good, then everything is okay. Except that sometimes when we are saying we and God are good, we are really not good. In the sense that to be good with God is to also move in the Spirit of God or in the Spirit of Christ. And in the Spirit of Christ is a kind spirit. It's a gentle spirit. It's a caring and loving spirit. So we think we are good with God, and then someone does something, which was, not expected. And then it upsets you. And then all of a sudden, it shows on your face. It tells in your tone of voice. And then you think you are still good with God, so everything is okay. No! So the point is this. When we are good with God, we need to be good with people as well. Isn't it? When Jesus was asked the greatest commandment, he said, love God with all your heart, your soul, and your mind. And then he said the second is like this, love your neighbor as yourself. It's like love for God is not complete without love for people. And to love people is a deliberate and intentional thing you have to do. I say, you can't say you love me and I don't feel your love. If you love me, I'll feel that love. And if I love people, they must feel that love. So we need to realize that to be an effective leader, it takes more than just spirituality. Or put it in other words, it takes a complete spirituality. And a complete spirituality means that, favor with God, but favor with people, and as well as wisdom, and as well as stature. It takes all those dimensions to be effective, to nurture yourself. And I like the word nurture. Nurture means that you have something you can do. There's in my church, we have a few sayings. One of them, before I come to the one I want to use now, one of them is this. The company you keep, and as soon as I say the company you keep, they know the response. The company you keep affects who you become. Isn't it? Good. The company you keep will affect who you become. But the one I want to use is this. A garden left unattended. Because you are not in my church. You can have it go, but, a garden left unattended will grow weeds. It will grow weeds. You have a perfect garden, but if you leave it unattended, it will grow weeds. So if you want a good garden, it needs attention. You need to nurture it. So in effect, you may have the best spiritual life, but if you leave it unattended, weeds will grow. Weeds will grow. Nurturing ourselves. Dealing with the stresses of life. So, like I said, when I was in Ghana, I didn't know stress. But we know stress. Stress is real. Stress is what? Our whole response to the demands that life places on us. And stress is not only from bad things. Even good things, too much can cause stress. And initially I wanted to use this board, but I'm not going to use it really. The fact is this. Stress, we say, can be cumulative. A little stress here, a little there, and they all add up and then they become big. We need a little bit of stress to function because stress is like responsibility. But when it becomes too much, it can begin to do damage, isn't it? So we need to be able to ensure that our stress is not getting out of hand. When you read general books on stress, the secular idea, they give the impression that stress, because it's cumulative, eventually it will kill you. They don't make room, like us as Christians who believe that, yes, stress can be cumulative, but by the grace of God, we have resources that we can use to manage stress, to keep it from getting out of hand. To keep it from getting out of hand. I've already mentioned some kind of symptoms. You see, when you are stressed, it begins to affect you. It could have physical effects. Your sleep can be affected. Your eating patterns can be affected. And, your emotional, your moods can be affected. But, the symptoms themselves can be your friend. I have a car, I have a gauge in it that tells me the fuel level. My wife doesn't like to see it flashing, the red. She doesn't. It's like the fuel is already finished. I said, no. It's just telling me that it's low. I'll get some, but she doesn't like it. So the gauge, that thing is your friend. Because when it's flashing, it's saying what? Danger, take care of me. If you leave it for another 20, 30 kilometers, then the trouble comes. But in the meantime, when it's flashing, it's just an indication. So the symptoms are not an issue. It's when you leave them unattended, then they can get out of hand. So in a certain context now, you can begin to ask yourself, what indications do I have? What's my stress level? And what is reflecting? What's showing me that probably it's getting a bit out of hand, and therefore it needs to be attended. Because the best thing is that you want to be proactive about these things. But sometimes you need to be able to pause and assess, where am I? How am I doing? And then in the light of that, begin to make some meaningful decisions. So I want to just give you some things that I have found helpful when it comes to dealing with stress and the challenges around. I have here some spiritual and then some natural helps. And I don't know where to start from. Because you are all people of the Spirit, please permit me to start with the natural ones before I come to the spiritual ones. Because you already pray, you already have the word and so on. So let me start from, somewhere else and eventually land there, okay? I think that relationships are a key to effective management of stress. Everybody needs one or two people who believe in them. There are many. Even Jesus, he had the 70, he had the 120, he had the 12, and then he had what? The 3. Clap for Pastor Ben. He's paying attention. He just answered. He had the 3. So, everybody needs a few people in their lives. And, Paul had people like that. First person we can think about when we think of Paul is Barnabas. Whatever he became, Barnabas had a part in it. In supporting and seeing the potential. When the apostles didn't want to have anything to do with Paul, it's Barnabas who put in a word for him. And then when he was sent to Antioch to do the work, it's him who went and said, Paul, come, help me, let's do this. Saw potential, and eventually Paul became who we see him to be. And then Paul also had a relationship with Titus. It's a very interesting relationship. I want to read something on this point of the importance of relationships for nurturing our well-being from 2 Corinthians chapter 2 and 13. Second Corinthians chapter 2. Having a bit of feedback on my mind. Okay, 2 and 12. 2 Corinthians 2, 12 and 13. Now, when I went to Troas to preach the gospel of Christ and found that the Lord had opened a door for me, I still had no peace of mind because I did not find my brother Titus there. So I said goodbye to them and went on to Macedonia. A door had been opened. The Lord had opened a door. But because his brother, his friend, Titus was not around, he said goodbye to them and went somewhere else. Power of relationships. And to kind of buttress this, let's go to 2 Corinthians again, chapter 7, 5 to 7. For when we came into Macedonia, we had no rest, but we were harassed at every turn. Conflicts on the outside, fears within. But God, who comforts the downcast, comforted us by the coming of Titus. See the relationship. I don't have to go far when it comes to this church to talk about Pastor Peter and Pastor Ayo. 14 years of glory, and every year you have been there. That tells something. That says something, about the relationship and about what God is using you to contribute to his life, and I would say for him to contribute to your life. We all need people like that in our lives. I'm about to take a sabbatical end of October, and for the first 3 weeks, guess what? I'm going back to Africa. I'm going back. Why? There is a friend there who is more than a brother. We grew up in the same neighborhood. I've known him for over 50 years. He's visited me in Australia before. I don't know how to kind of describe that relationship. He's turning 70. I want to be there. I'm putting value on that relationship. So, as we are talking, who puts value on his relationship with you? And more than that, whose relationship are you also putting value into? Because those things, they really kind of look at what Paul is telling us. It gives him life. If he's saying this about Titus, I wonder what he'll say about Timothy as well, in terms of the relationship, in terms of the connection. If you want to be able to nurture your life, you need relationships. I understand, and I have come across it, and I want to believe it, that what you need to be able to make it in life is just one or two people who believe in you, who see potential in you. I remember when I came to Australia, one of my very dear friends, Professor Soji, I met him within the first couple of months. And I don't know what he saw in me, but I would have to say that he saw something in me because he spoke to my potential. So I don't joke with him. He was my closest whilst he was here. He's now in the US, And that is it. Relationships and putting value on people is so powerful if we want to be nurtured and fresh. Value relationships. Because they will speak the truth to you. They will encourage you. But occasionally, if there's something to be said, they will say it. And they will say it nicely because of their relationship. And when they say it, it's coming from a good place because of their relationship. I want to be able to learn from everybody. But, the actual fact is that it's easier for me when it comes from some people. Okay, let me tell you another story. It's a true story. I was being naughty at home. With my wife. I was being naughty. And she kept talking to me and I wasn't listening. And then guess who he reported me to? To that friend, that brother. So I was there and then he sent me a message. He said we needed to talk. And then he raised it. I had to shape up straight away. I had to shape up. Are you understanding me? You all need people in your life. And you know that when they are speaking, they mean well. And you value it. So relationships. The second thing is that you need some outlets. Outlets, like something that, you do just to refresh. See, in Mark chapter 6, I think it's from 30. The disciples had gone on mission and they came back and they were reporting to Jesus. But during the report, we read something. I want to read it for you. The apostles gathered around Jesus and reported to him all they had done and taught. Then, because so many people were coming and going that they did not even have a chance to eat, he said to them, "Come with me by yourselves to a quiet place and do what? And get some rest." Get some rest. So even Jesus knew that the disciples needed some rest. So he didn't plan go, and just burn out. No. He included the need to rest. What do you do? What do you do to get some rest? I sometimes play Scrabble with my wife regularly, just to take it easy. I also like going on a walk. But the point is, what do you do to refresh yourself? Or it's all only about the spirit? All about the spirit. Yeah. Yeah. So you grow the spirit, but you don't grow the other dimensions. And then you become warped. You are not balanced. Yeah. Yeah. Find a way to rest. I hope I'm speaking to somebody today, whether online or here, that if we want to be nurtured, we learn from Jesus. He grew in wisdom, in stature, favor with God and with people. So holistic growth. So there are things that we can do. Relationships matter. Value relationships. Everybody can't be in that inner circle, but you need one or two in that inner circle and do life deep together with them. And then secondly, find a way to refresh. Yeah, it could be physical. Some people like dancing. Someone was telling me they like dancing. I said, oh, don't worry. Just come to our church every Sunday. That will be taken care of. It will be taken care of. Yeah, we don't sing standing still. No. We move. And you get really blessed. You get blessed. Yeah. Do something. Find something that helps you refresh. Third, watch your mind. Watch your mind. Is that clip possible to play, Pastor Bessie? No, that's fine. There. Yeah, your mind. The mind is so important. Stress is our response to things, and so it has a lot to do with our mind. It has a lot to do with our mind. And the issue is this. There are certain things that work against us. I know that one of the issues in ministry for me for many years was that I had unrealistic expectations of people. Well, to me, they were realistic. Growing up, I grew up with a few friends from high school, and some are still in my life now. We prayed together, we supported each other, we meant what we said, and we held each other accountable. So I thought every Christian takes God so seriously and sees things that way. So when I came and then an elder or a leader, he begins to talk like a baby Christian, then he gets on my nerves. And then I think, what's going on here? What's going on here? This person should have known better. And then I start kind of reacting because of my expectations. So you see, the mind is very, very important. And controlling our expectations even of people. You can know what you expect of yourself, but when it's somebody else, just giving them a little room and realizing that they are human. So, things are happening, and you don't want to begin to react to people, but respond to people. Are you understanding me? So our mind is so important. The discipline of, working on our expectations so that it doesn't work against us. And then also attitudes. The attitudes that we kind of pick up, like I'm saying, the expectation is not met, then I begin to feel upset and aggrieved. Then my attitude towards the person becomes not so positive. Yeah. Some people have left my church over the years. And I think there was a season where I felt it was all their fault. It was all their fault for leaving. But over the years, I realized that, no, it's not all their fault. Sometimes I contributed. It's a difficult and painful thing to come to that point and admit that, it's not all their fault. They did something wrong. Pastor Ayo, come, please. See, you put your foot on my gently. Okay. I could tell him, excuse me, and then he will move. But imagine you put it there. Silly man, senseless man. Can't you be reasonable? Then he hears silly man, senseless man. Then he doesn't even know about this. Me, silly? Yeah, yes, go. Instead of addressing the issue, you've started from another angle. The person is also upset. You are not addressing it. It escalates. And then you sit back and say, it's all their fault. Is it all their fault, really? Yeah. So the mind and attitudes and how we show respect to people. I could go everywhere and just say it's all their fault. So in the mind again, the other aspect is this, the blame game. Everything is somebody else, what they did. It's never you. And true, sometimes it's what they did. But you have a choice. You decide how to respond. You decide how to respond. I remember the story of this guy. The name escapes me, but he's a survivor of the Holocaust. And he wrote many books. And in one of them, he said that, you can take away all my freedoms except the freedom to determine how I will respond to what you are doing. That you can't take away from me. So it's like no matter what you do, I decide how I will respond. So if that settles in, then you don't play the blame game. Things happen, you decide how you want to respond. You understand? And nobody can take. It's freeing to know that you decide your responses. So when you are put in the corner, eventually you say, okay, thank you, it's time, bye-bye. That's a choice, you understand? It's not like you put yourself in a situation it's like, no way out. Whether I like it or not, I have to cop this. No. Don't blame anybody. You have decisions to make. And make them in the presence of God with the help of the living God. 2 more, then I'll be done. Okay? Since we'll have a panel, we can talk, we can engage. But 2 more. Learn to maintain margin. Margin, in my Bible there's margin. This side. And I get to write things there, make some points there, and so on. Learn to maintain margin in your life. Margin is just sufficient reserve, sufficient reserve of time, energy, and money for your use and the use for others. So you see, when you plan your day, I think now I'm not in that stage anymore, but don't plan your day so tight that anything that happens, it throws everything. No, plan with a bit of margin. So that you can breathe, you can pace yourself. I mean, the younger ones tend to do that. They plan so much. No. Learn to pace yourself a bit. Are you understanding me? So when you are planning, don't plan for every hour in the day. Let there be some space in between things that you can breathe. You get me? In the same way, when you get money, don't spend it all. Save a little bit of it so that in case a friend needs help, you are able to do something. Are you getting me? Yeah. And the same. So everything, maintain a bit of margin. Take it into account in your planning so that, you don't overextend yourself. So there are other spiritual things I didn't go much into, okay? Prayer helps. The word helps. The spirit helps. Except that sometimes we do those things and we use it as a cop-out, not to do other things. And we need to be careful about that. You are a wife or you are a husband, and then 7 days in the week you are in church. We had women's meeting on Monday, and we had the prayer warriors on Tuesday, and then we had this and that, and the whole week you are in church. Yet you are married, you have children. What kind of planning is that? And that is being spiritual. Or you are a wife or husband, and always you are fasting. It's good. But you fast because you are fasting. The other person is not fasting, but the door is shut because I'm fasting. Yeah. No, I'm not going there. I'm not going there. Hey, Sammy, behave. The door is shut because I'm fasting. Then you use your spirituality to deny somebody. And then you are creating problems without realizing you are creating problems. Yeah. So don't let your spirituality hinder you from effective living. That's the point I'm making. Yeah? Don't let it hinder you from effective living. Live life. And let your life make the work of God or the call of God attractive. Let it make it attractive. Don't be like me some years ago. I'm saying the word of God. What's attractive about that? So one person offends you, you come, 100 people are gathered, and then your focus is on that one person who offended you, and you preach to everybody as if everybody is like that person. No. Somebody take the mic from this man. Let him go and sit down. God richly bless you. To be continued.
Amen. Amen. Come on, put your hands together for Pastor Abalo.